Raise your hand if you've ever been busy. Raise your hand if you've ever got tired and feel like you just need a couple days off. Most people would have both hands up right now. That's our world, fast-paced and income-driven. That's why we get caught up in our own lives so often, and that's why it's understandable when most people don't focus on worries that aren't their own. So what makes someone become a humanitarian? Someone whose whole life focuses on the welfare of other humans.
When you go back and you see kids that were living on the streets, kids had no structure, they had no routine, people who had nothing, they didn't have meals. When you see that they're all of a sudden they're waking up, they have structure, they have something to do, they have a meal in their belly, their life changes completely. They, like I said, their self-esteem changes, their self-worth, their ability to know who they are in the world and what they have the potential of becoming, you know, to give that hope, to give that dream, and then to watch people actually use that to do good for themselves and others it's amazing. It becomes an addiction.
And with Serena's help, we'll find the meaning of life to a humanitarian.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to what? Time to Shine Happiness Show. Barbara, I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
Okay. Well, I'm Barbara Ellison, founder of Wellness Playroom for the best version of you. You know, and one of the things I have been working diligently on who I work with, why I work with them, what I do for them, that kind of thing. And so like right now I work with high achievers to overcome burnout and stress and imposter syndrome and those kinds of things. Because if they don't overcome those things, they don't retire well. And I want them to retire to be, you know, active and healthy and debt-free and abundant in their retirement. But it starts now while they're working. So that's kind of me because I'm a life trainer. Mm-hmm. But I love today's topic because finding purpose and joy in the midst of crisis. Yes. And that's how my journey started after David died. When I realized that, okay, I have to find purpose and joy without him because I had my whole life lined up that I was what I was going to do with David. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden it was out from underneath me. But that is what started the journey. So today, and part of that journey, I remember in the first year and a half, 2 years, I did things that would make me laugh. Mm-hmm. My goal is to make you laugh this morning. Okay. And so one of the things that I looked up, the myths and the superstitions of May. Okay.
Oh, okay.
May is my birthday month.
It's your birthday month.
My birthday is May 29th. Anyways, well, according to superstition, children born this month will be sickly all of their lives.
Oh my God.
Yeah, this is a myth. It's a superstition. And you know what? It was true in my case until I got into the wellness space in my 40s. You know, so you kind of wonder sometimes. I looked back and I went, ooh, but I read that. I went, ooh, you know, because I was sickly. Anyways, but the one I liked too was cats that are born in May won't catch mice. And they might bring snakes into your house.
Okay. Everything you're saying right now is like, I don't want none of this.
Okay, so but now we'll get to the fun part. Those were the sillinesses. To enhance a youthful appearance and enhance your beauty, wash your face in the morning dew that you collect on the 1st of May. Well, we missed it.
Okay.
We missed May.
We missed it.
We missed it. It's bad luck to get married in May.
Okay.
But here's the reason why. They say, this is all superstition from way back in mythology and all of that. It's because May is considered to be the wedding month of the gods and the goddesses. So it would be very rude to upstage them.
So they have to have their special. Okay.
They have to have, the gods and the goddesses. Okay. So now this one is, it's very bad luck to wash blankets in May. Or, yeah. What? Right. Where did these things come from? Because now we look back and we laugh at them. But these were superstitions and they were myths. And like one of the ones that I grew up with was never cross anyone on a stairway. Never cross anyone on a stairway. And I still don't do it. I mean, when my kids, I was like, I'll back up or go back up instead. It's like, okay, yeah, fine. But then the other one is don't ever buy a new broom in May.
You know what? It's funny you said that because I did hear that before when I was growing up, and that was weird. You know what? My mother did the opposite though. She still bought a broom in May, even though somebody told her not to do it.
Don't buy it. But the thing is, where did that kind of stuff come from?
But I was going to say, Barbara, with that, a lot of that superstitious, everything, like you said, we all grew up on it, hearing different things. Yeah. But I think what happens, we give it more strength when we start really believing in it.
Believe it.
And
yeah. So for me, it made me laugh. It was like, oh, brother, what is this?
Yeah, because I mean, there's been a lot of times when I was younger that said, you don't step on a crack.
Oh, yeah.
Back. Those
And what was the other one? There's
crossing with the tree. With the tree, you don't split yourself with the tree or something like that, or the pole.
Some of the things that we look back on now. But I saw you smile, so that was my goal for the day, was to at the antics of these things.
You always make me smile.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, but that's part of doing that. Like I think I told you, and then we got a little bit of a late start, so we're gonna bring up our guest quicker.
Keep it going. Yep.
And I know I've said this to you, but I remember in the first year and a half after David died, and the only thing I really remember doing was I binge watched all 10 years of Frasier.
Oh, wow.
Because part of recovery is putting things in front of you that can help you to laugh, to smile, even if you can only just barely smile. That might have been funny. Because in that first year after a trauma, and sometimes it can be the loss. It can be a loss of a loved one, but it can be a loss of a job. It can be the loss of anything. It can be an accident. It can be recovery. It could be, loss of career. That's what I deal with people that have lost their careers unexpectedly. So all of those things, but the treatment in some ways is the same. We have to find things that just lighten our spirit. And that's what Marlene's going to talk about. And it's such an important topic. And so many people, they feel that they are so alone in it, which is why we need people like Marlene to do that, to help people through it, to find that joy. However, most of us starts because we experienced it ourselves.
Yes. And one thing I love, just going to get into this before we bring on the Queen, Marlene, is I love the topic that she's talking about, because just that kind of goes into a little bit what I do, because I'm a purpose and visibility strategist. So when you're talking about finding your purpose, I always say, find that purpose, dig deep through all of the stuff that you go through. And then at that point, it's important for us, just like Marlene's doing today and everybody, what we're doing is get the visibility so people can get hope. A lot of times they say, Barbara, hope. I say, yeah, because when you see us and you see, and we tell you what we went through and we dealt with it, we're still standing, even though some things still get a little whatever, but we're still standing because we're still moving forward. We're still in the race. That's what I say, that's living life. And there's, that's why me and Barbara get along so well here as the BBs, because we're both striving for people to strive in their lives. And I love how Queen Marlene is going to talk more about her journey of getting to that purpose, and things change in your life that you are unexpected. You're going down a certain road and I always say there's that little and then, it happens. But I always tell you that little is those learning experience. And I always say they're stepping stones of strength because they strengthen you to the next level in your life. Right. So with that,
and you might still be swaying in the wind. You might still be swaying. Absolutely. However, you are on your feet. So that's how I always look at it.
I'll do the physical things while you explain it in the words. Swaying.
There's the laugh. There's the laugh. My goal.
But it's funny because soon you said that, I just felt myself swaying because I always got pictures in my head.
Sway in the wind.
But you're not alone while you're swaying.
But you're not exactly.
That's the nice thing. That's the nice thing. You're not alone when you're swaying.
You're not alone.
So I mean, real quickly before we bring on Queen Marlene, can you give us just a little of how you found this wonderful lady to come on the show today?
I know from LinkedIn, of course, but I believe we were on another event. And right at this moment, I'll have to have her remind me, but I believe it was in another event. That one of those networking events that was like, ooh, I need to have you on my show. Because it just, because that's when I was going through David, losing David. But now it's been, 13 years. But I still, there are still times when I remember that. Oh,
wow. Yeah.
Didn't expect to be a widow in my early 60s.
And you're blossoming so much and helping so many people. So with that, let's bring on Miss Marlene. After our sponsor, we have to give the sponsor some love. And then we'll be right back with Marlene.
I don't know this song.
My body becomes like a cement. Oh my God.
That was the better one.
Okay. Oh my God. It's like magic. Literally, it's like magic.
Ta-da! It is magic.
Ta-da! Hey there.
Hello, lady.
How are you doing?
Wonderful. And I know, well, you and Barbara know each other, but I'm the other Barbara, and I just got a chance to meet you. Just the little minutes that I met you this morning before we started, and I can feel the wonderful presence of Marlene. Queen.
Hey. Hey, I used to actually be called a queen.
See, Barbara, I'm telling you, these queens are understanding themselves.
When I was 18, I went from Central Florida to New Orleans, Louisiana, and I became the first female collector at Jefferson Bank and Trust. And it was a real exciting job. Became a repo queen. I was Mean Marlene, the repo queen from New Orleans.
I love that.
Learned how to hot wire a car and how to get into it without the light coming on. And so that was my start in the banking and finance industry back in the 70s.
Isn't that wild?
That dates me, doesn't it?
I brought back some good memories. Me, Marlene, I like that.
Me, Marlene.
Me, Marlene. Wow. Well, Queen Mean Marlene. Well, you're not mean at all.
You've come a long way since then, Marlene.
Yeah, you come a long way, baby. But yeah,
Oh, baby.
I think God was preparing me back then to be able to function in the midst of high stress situations.
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up, Queen, because a lot of times we go through things, even the little bitty things that you don't even recognize, get you prepared for what's about to be in store. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. So, lady, we always want to start off with a backstory, because I always like to see what's behind the scene, how you got to this wonderful, what you do for so many people. And like you said, finding your purpose and joy in the midst of crisis, we're going to talk a little bit about, but give us a little backstory.
Well, I think, like I said, it started in my younger days of just looking for adventure, being one of those people that loves to be around people. And then I became a single mom and raised my two youngest biological sons by myself up in Tallahassee, Florida. And when they got ready to go to college, my father, who was in Central Florida, my mother had passed away in my teens and had gotten really ill. Now, this was a man who went to work every day of his life, drove himself to work, had his own business, but got cancer and needed help. And my younger brother was running the business and the family business. And so I left Tallahassee as my boys left to go to college. And then I had another trauma hit me in my vocation, in my ministry, in the work that I was doing there. But then I had to go down and take care of my dad. And it was just a total life change, disaster type of situation. And I wish I could say that it got better after a few months, but it didn't. It seemed to get worse. And what happened was my body started to physically become ill as a result of this post-traumatic stress and trauma that hit me. And I mean, I got seriously ill, almost died a couple of times because my lymph system and body, just my vital organs had just started shutting down. And I can honestly say at that time, I was in ministry at the time, but God began to just open up my mind and began to show me things about trauma and stress and how trauma is, if you think about trauma, when you break something or apply stress to it, that bone or area becomes traumatized. And it connects to the brain. And a lot of times, even after a broken bone is healed, you can hit that area and your brain brings back that memory. And so I got into brain science. I got into crisis and trauma care counseling. And God began to just open up my heart about this part of the brain called the joy center. And I don't know if you know, it produces dopamine, it produces serotonin, it produces when it's triggered, it produces all these automatic response. It produces a fight or flight. You call it animal brain syndrome. And a lot of people do a lot of things when they're traumatized because their brain tells them that they're in danger, and they're going to do something to try and either fight, flight, or flood. And then because this dopamine is produced and these other things are produced, what happens is people, when they get traumatized, a lot of times, I believe this is a root of a lot of addictions, a lot of mental illness, a lot of physical things that happen in the body because we don't react well in the way God intended us to handle traumatic situations. And so I started doing into a study of this, and eventually what has evolved into is helping people through these times in their life where they want to get better, but a lot of times they don't know how to get better because they're in a place where they're biologically, mentally, and physically, they are overwhelmed and they just can't help themselves. And so it's almost like a trauma nurse or somebody that comes in and helps people find their purpose, find out what makes them laugh again.
Right.
And one of the biggest things that I have found is when I was going through my trauma crisis, I had a hard time loving. I had a hard time feeling loved, being loved. I had a hard time expressing my love because there was so much on my plate. I really couldn't absorb that emotion. And so I became a very self-centered and critical individual, even though I by nature, I'm not that. I became mean Marlene again.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's kind of the backstory of how I've gotten into this. And since then, I've not only work with individuals, but I work with groups of people. Work with people who work with high risk individuals or people. I spent a year in Alaska working with high risk population up there. Within a ministry, I worked in Africa.
Wow.
With a children's home there, but also I still work with a church there that works in a very poverty area. And you see this, not only, we don't recognize it a lot here in the United States, but people are in trauma every day in these third world countries where they don't have food to eat, they don't have money to buy things, they don't have health care like we do, they don't have water like we do, they don't have shelter or electricity. But that one thing that I have found is they have a lot of joy and a lot of love when they have a purpose. And so that's another reason why I'm working a lot now with people, just helping them in a second occupation, or they've just been through a midlife crisis or different things like that. So that's what I do. And
Wow. I just wanted to say, Marlene, because wow. Okay, let me say that first. Wow, you are doing so much for so many people. And I wanted to mention two things, and if I can go back to Barbara if she had some things. One thing you mentioned that really, really stands out to me when it talks about trauma in a person's life is that if you don't understand that healing process needs to begin somewhere. And a lot of times, like you said, and I know I have in my life with some trauma I have, is that it's like, okay, the trauma hits, but then I still have to, I said to myself, okay, but I still got to do what I got to do. So I put the healing part to the side and anything I think I need and just kept going. And then years and years pass. And then all of a sudden, boof, something explodes, something just boom, because you didn't take care of that trauma at the time. I love that.
This is why we see first responders like firemen, police officers, hospital workers, even now news reporters that go to some of these countries. They're women that are having babies in and out of the hospital really fast. It's because stress, it builds up. And if you don't get rid of stress, it's like a half full glass of water. You have one event. And the interesting thing is, one of the things I didn't realize is that your body treats good stress, like getting married, getting a new job, having a grandbaby. All these things are stress. And your body, if you don't process that, and I love the video that you had with your sponsor, I think it was before the show, was about giving these children something to do, giving them a purpose, giving them a schedule, giving them something to relieve that stress and trauma in a healthy way. And that's why a lot of these young kids and stuff coming up, and even older people, if they don't have a sense of identity and who they are, and for me as a Christian pastor, if that person doesn't have a sense of identity that they were created for a purpose, when I find that and help people find their purpose and their identity in that purpose, and give them, it doesn't have to be something miraculous. It can be just a little thing of doing something that gives them hope. Like you said earlier, Barbara, hope is the key, because if you don't have hope, you have no reason to even try and get well or get better.
Yes.
That's one of the things in my own life. I always thought, having just discover your purpose, find your purpose. And I kept thinking that my purpose was some otherworldly thing out there.
Right.
The day I realized that my purpose comes from in here.
Yes.
And I had an opportunity to sit and just, okay, what is my purpose? And it just surfaced that my purpose is so simple: serve God, learn, and then teach others what I've learned.
Right.
That's it. I don't have to do anything bigger. I don't have to do anything, but that's my purpose. So whenever, and Barb can tell you this, that when I learn something, I come and on this show and share it.
I tell you, another thing that I learned that has really helped me in this journey of recovery is developing good communication skills. I took a class from this doctor who has a company called Relate Well, and he deals a lot with marriages. And he talks about how husbands and wives, that they can go years and years without communicating with one another, but they start building a better marriage when they develop the communication that what they're doing is their purpose is us instead of me or you. And that hit me, the power of us, that this life is not all about me. It's right. My trauma is not just about me. There's a reason and there's a purpose, even in the pain. And in my faith, that's what I believe, that okay, we know, I believe in a God who can do anything. And I believe he can stop a lot of things if that were going to be the best thing. But sometimes there's a purpose in the pain that we don't even understand. Right. And that to me is why people keep asking sometimes why this, why that. We may or may not ever even know the reason why. How can you talk to a mother who's lost a child? And you know what I'm saying? There's so many different traumas and pain, and you've got to give people time. That's why I call what I do, the ministry of presence, because I can't just come into somebody's life and say, oh, well, you just need to get better. You just need to do this. You just need to get over it. You just need to move on to your other kids or this or that thing. And you know what? It doesn't, pain and suffering does not work like that. And so the ministry of presence, of just being there with someone and getting to know them, loving them when they're not lovable. You know, a lot of people react differently in the midst of trauma. And so I always say the purpose is not just my purpose, it's what is God's purpose. And so if I can train myself to be closer to my purpose, okay, of why God created me, okay, why did he create me? He said something really interesting to me, Barbara's, BB's. That's my grandma name, BB. It's Swahili for grandma.
Yeah, I love the connection.
So anyhow, the Lord spoke to me the other day and he says, Marlene, I appreciate you. And I thought, well, that's kind of weird. Why would the Lord appreciate me? You know, I'm not really anybody just, you know, miraculous. But you know what he said? He said, I created you. Why wouldn't I appreciate you? Yeah. And let me tell you that when I was in that communications class, they had you go back and write down a list of all the people in your life that had fulfilled core values of relationships in your childhood. And do you know, I went back and looked at that, and appreciation was one of those core values. And do you know, I couldn't think of anybody in my childhood that had fulfilled that core value. And here I am, this old, not having that in my childhood, and how it that was trauma back then. And so part of me finding my purpose, even at my age, that helped me that day when he said that to me, Marlene, I appreciate you. And I said, why, Lord? And he said, because I created you. So why wouldn't I appreciate you? It took away all those bondages of religious working. I got to do this to do that. It took all the stress off of me. You talk about stress relief. That was relief. I don't have to do it.
Yeah, I remember one day just that, in that same kind of thing. And one day I was just, you know, when you have your monkey brain explodes into a band of gorillas. You know, when you are just out and you just can't, you're just so. And finally it was like, because I was fairly new to faith, and I sat down, it was like, I just don't know what I'm gonna do. I just that and it was just all of these things. And I heard that still small voice that just said, just, you know what, Barbara, you have salvation. Everything else is just details, and I'm in charge.
That's right. Amen.
It was like, oh, don't sweat the small stuff, you know. That's and right. And some of the trauma, it's so big, and yet sometimes when we can think of it as, okay, don't sweat the small stuff, because to God it is small.
It is. It is.
So yeah, it was. I remember that moment, and it was like, oh yike.
Wow, Marlene, you gave me goosebumps when you said that. I mean, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I just had to say,
no, yeah,
said that. I just felt that presence, you know, and it just made me feel like, wow, he's right. He created us, and that's why he respects us. And you know, you never think of it like you said. You're like, well, what? I'm not spectacular. I'm not this. You know, I'm just here. And he's basically coming back to say, but I created you. and that's it.
Right.
I mean,
He's
I was
like,
it.
woo, he's our daddy, you know, he's our, I mean, you can just talk about, I mean, I could just go off on a preach right now, but a lot of the people that I talk to are not even, they don't even have a faith. They say, I don't even know what I believe. And by the time I get off the phone with them sometimes and I start telling them, I don't even have to just try and, you know, debate with them or argue with people. Listen, by the time, sometimes I just tell them a story, and that's not even a story. That is just my reality. And what happened to me, sharing my heart with someone, showing them that I love them and I care about them. It doesn't matter what they believe. And so by the time I've gotten off the phone, sometimes they're talking about the Lord. Well, the Lord. Well, what about the Lord? And see, they meet him, and then it takes the pressure off of us as ministers or as coaches or as whatever, because this is not our responsibility. And I think that that's another thing that I deal a lot with pastors and people that I talk to, missionaries that I talk to. They try to take on the world's issues themselves. And yes, we're supposed to be doing good things and everything, but a lot of it is we can't do anything place to where we're in that place of peace. We're in that place of rest and overflow. That's why I love this kind program that you ladies have, because it is time to show what your age is. Everybody has purpose, and everybody has a reason for what they're doing. And this is wonderful. I just appreciate y'all so much giving me the opportunity to come today. Yeah, this has really been answer to prayer for me. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, you've been an answer prayer too, because you're just confirming so many things right now when it comes to your purpose and really letting God come in. And I love how you said that, because God just wants us to, he uses us. And I know we can go to the preaching part, which this is to be just real talk, because we all love God. The Lord is that he uses us as the tools that he made. Like he said, he made us to just be ambassadors for him. And I always tell people that takes, like you said again, Marlene, that takes that pressure, because we feel like, because I was there too. And sometimes I'm still there. It's like, Lord, I just want to do this. I want to make sure this. I want to help this person. You help me do this.
Right.
And God's just saying, I just want you to be who you are, because I made you. You just talk. You just say your stories, what you've been through, what you've dealt with. And believe me, you're going to give that hope, and you're going to touch so many people. Now I'm using me as an example, but that's all of us here. That's all.
Right.
And that takes the pressure. Like you said, I love how you said it. That takes that pressure off, because he always says, put everything on him.
That's right.
He tells us that.
I'm going to tell you, if you're
on there,
right, if you're feeling stressed or you're feeling like, oh, I'm responsible for this, then it's probably not God. It's probably the enemy that's come in and said, you've got to get all this done in order for God to be pleased with you. And that happens a lot in crisis and trauma and disasters, because you have what they call survivor's guilt as well. You have people that have gotten in there and done things, but yet they survived and someone didn't. And boy, I tell you, we're dealing with that all over our country right now with some of the disasters and things that have happened recently.
Yes. I also wanted, because I know with time, but I want to touch, because you talked about the joy in the midst of the crisis.
Yeah.
And one thing, you talked about the video a little while ago, and I am one of the board members of Help Heal Humanity, and we deal with Haiti, the country of Haiti, with the children. And as everybody knows, if you heard what's going on in Haiti, just like you said, around the world, it is very sad. I mean, I literally just cry all the time when I cry out for them. And I just but what I see, this is the part that I want to bring up, what you said earlier, with everything they're going through, like you said, the no water, the no food, the schooling, they can't even go to school because it's their livelihood. Their life might be taken away as they just go outside of their doors where they live. But they still get this joy. I still see a smile on their face when I see them, or we have pictures of them when we went down there to visit them. And I'm like, that's incredible how they're going through so much as a child, the trauma and everything, like you said. And they still got this laughter when they see people, and they give those big hugs when people come to them.
Yeah.
Well, this is just a theory that I have. I don't know. I haven't really discussed this, but I think part of it is the physical aspect. They have to do so much more physically in their country than we do in our country. We are an intellectual, educated nation here. And I know I've also done training. Like I said, I was really sick in my body because of the trauma, but I learned to do trauma release exercises to get them out of my body. I started to do brain retraining, resilience training, capacity building. I started to do some very physical, mental, and emotional things. Dancing in a lot of these countries, when there's worship, there's a lot of dancing. That is releasing trauma, stress. They don't have the resources to get to the alcohol, the pharmaceuticals, the things that also are other, I call them babysitters for our trauma. So I think a lot of it is there's a biological reason too, while they're able to get through that crisis and trauma and accept it. And they have an extreme amount of appreciation and gratitude. And that's what I try and help teach people too. You have got to have an attitude of gratitude. If you don't, it's only going to increase the stress. Yeah,
that's powerful. Like you said, being grateful. I always tell myself, okay, when I start going, through like we all do a little pity, but whatever, saying, I don't want to do it. I go back and I look at people in different countries. I look at people that doesn't have what I have. And I'm like, Barbara, are you crazy? What are you doing? You can't complain about nothing. You can go in your kitchen and get some water. You can go to your refrigerator and get food. And you're sitting here complaining? So, I had to do like a little wake up call and say, hello.
Hi.
You got it good. Other people. Be grateful, Barbara. But wow, Marlene, we have to bring you back, lady. This is amazing.
I have thoroughly enjoyed it. And Barbara, you had asked how we met. We actually met because I saw Barbara's profile on LinkedIn and her description of what she did, and that she had this program, but also that she was into podcasting. And I really have a desire to really start doing podcasting, and y'all are just kind of like my mentors here. So I've just been watching your shows and just trying to teach myself a little bit of stuff. So I want to get with you more, because I know you ladies do that and help other podcasters get their podcast up and running, because we need to be out there proclaiming. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes, you need to get our voice out there. You need your show like yesterday, Marlene. You really do.
Yes.
You have so much to talk about and give and bring people on. So that's where that visibility comes in. It. So yeah, yes, we definitely need to, come together more and talk about that. But
definitely
just amazing.
Get y'all's coaching and support on that. Thank you. Yes.
Oh, yeah. We're here to serve. We are here to serve. Yeah. So Lady Barbara, I want you to do your closing, but I also want to just say again for this wonderful queen today, please reach out to her. She has a free gift. I did a bit.ly for her because the other link was a little bit long. And, I don't want people saying, I didn't get that link. It was so long. So I shortened it a little bit for her.
Awesome. Thank you. And this is a new book that just came online. It's called Psalm 119 Prayer Journal. And it is, it's getting alone and getting into that place. And this free gift is the first 18 pages of this book. So you're getting a bargain there for free.
See, appreciate the free gifts. I tell people that a lot. So please go to the link and make sure that you get your free gift. And I'll reach out to this queen. I mean, if you know people, if it's not yourself, but other people, and we can always experience how to get through the midst of crisis and get the joy. That's all of us. So please reach out to this queen. But Barbara, I just want to give it to you regarding.
Absolutely. Let's make happiness the norm rather than the exception, because each and every one of us deserves to lead a happy, healthy, debt-free, and abundant life. So let's all reach out to each other, help each other, and do it with each other. So yeah, absolutely.
Wow, this has been awesome. Again, but please make sure we put Marlene back on the calendar.
Absolutely.
This has been amazing. I just want to let everybody know we will be back next Tuesday. And Wednesday. I keep saying Tuesday. I gotta get the Wednesday.
We were 4 years on Tuesday, and now we're on Wednesday.
You gotta get Wednesday in my head. But and I also just want to tell everybody real quickly. This is mental health month for me. So please, what I always tell people, if you hear me all the time, is do your check-ins with people. Yeah. It doesn't have to be long as you send them a heart emoji, whatever you want to do, just to say how much you care and you love them. Please do your check-ins. This is mental, and not just only for me, but we just want to make sure this is what we're talking about for me, and we want to make sure you're doing the check-ins. So with that said, see you next Tuesday. Bye.
Introducing the Diamond Factor Network, where we turn your business into a beacon of success. Imagine having your TV streaming show reaching audiences far and wide. It's possible with the Diamond Factor Network. Unlock the power of your brand with our state-of-the-art TV streaming platform. Your show, your way. Feature highlights, customized shows, global reach, and professional support. Coaching by Barbara J. Beckley, purpose, visibility, and social media strategist. Ready to elevate your brand? Join the Diamond Factor Network today and let your brilliance light up the world. Shine bright, because your success is our